The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Whether you're new to sales or a lifetime veteran, the Blackbelt Sales Podcast will sharpen your sword and guide you to master the art of sales. And now, here's your host, the ninja himself, Gene Slade.
If you guys are joining us live, please put live down in the comments. If you're watching us on a replay, put replay in the comments. And then last thing, if you're listening to us on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or something like that, and you like the information that you're getting, if you appreciate what we're doing, please go ahead and leave us a review on whatever site it is that you love to listen to. And make sure to hit that subscribe button as well on whatever platform you're on today. So Don, set the stage for us, man.
Well, you know, we're hearing so much things being put off or not the necessity to do things right now. And it comes down to establishing the need and the money, right? And we get back and forth over which one is it sometimes. If no matter what you do on the money, if they don't feel there's a need to do something, then I don't care what kind of deal you're going to give me, then I'm still probably not going to move forward. That's kind of that. It doesn't matter what kind of 0% interest you want me to take. I'm not going to take and buy that for something I don't feel I need. So how do we make sure we get the need when people are saying, I just don't think, I'm not ready to do anything. If it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality.
Yeah,
so,
it's still working. That's what we were hearing this morning, right?
That's right. We're still hearing this morning. It's still working. No matter what condition. And interesting one this morning, the story was, it was so dirty. It was so nasty. It was obvious they needed to do something. Those are often the hardest ones to sell because if they've ignored it for their lifetime, many years, 5, 10, 20 years, they can ignore it for the rest of their lifetime too, right? So sometimes the most obvious situations that they got to do something are the ones that are the hardest to sell. So, and that's kind of the situation I think we felt in today. And it kind of pushed us to the return on investment close. And that was really one of the things that you need to have in your arsenal ready to go to help move someone forward. And is that magic phrase you asked when that training this morning? And to me, magic might not be the right word, but if you don't get this phrase right, the rest of it is a struggle. So lead us into that, Gene.
Well, before we give up that big secret,
okay.
Can I give them 2 other questions that will give them a little bit of time to think? Because, Don, I don't know if you've ever been caught off guard, but sometimes a client will give me an objection. I remember these days where they give me an objection and I would get stuck like a deer in the headlights. And then, guys, are you anything like me? You ever feel the heat coming off your face, like from embarrassment because you don't know what to say? Has that ever happened to you? If it has, put red face or something like that down in the comments. Or embarrassment. Like I could feel the heat radiating off my face when I couldn't handle an objection. And there was a bunch of embarrassment and a bunch of stress there. And what made it worse was that I knew it was showing on my face, right? So how do you keep from getting yourself in that position? You want to train, okay? You want to find somebody who actually knows how to handle each and every single objection that you're going to come up with that can give them to you in a written format so that you can study them because that's how school taught you how to learn. Am I right? Or am I right? So, and by the way, before we do that, Brittany, if we've got a ticker to go across the bottom about the events and stuff like that, that would be awesome. If not, that's totally cool too. All right. So Don, when they catch you off guard in this scenario, this is something these guys are going to want to write down. If they say something like it's still working, there's 2 different responses that you could use. One would be, 3. You could say it's still working. Just repeat what they said in the form of a question. You could also say And you can do that with just about anything they say. Just repeat it in the form of a question. It'll give you 5, 10, 15 seconds to think, and it will require them to explain more. Because a lot of times customers don't tell us what they mean when they talk, do they? So that's one. The other one would be, yes, you're right. I agree with you. It is working. But is it working for you or against you? Right? The last one would be, I agree with you. It is working. But is it working for you or for the utility company? So those are 3 things that you could say to give yourself a moment so that you don't have that deer in the headlights feeling. Make sense, guys? If this is making sense, give me a thumbs up or something like that. Give me a couple hearts. Let's see them pop off.
Well, and that brings up the idea, the thought is that most high producers and most of the guys who would watch something like this, or some of the elite, they're very motivated. They're good. We often over stress ourselves.
Yeah.
And when we get stressed in those situations, it really, we tense up. It slows the blood flow to the brain. And the thing that we really need the most is to relax and calm down and allow ourselves to think. Have you ever had a situation where in school, you took a test, you're taking the test, and I don't know. You hand in the test, you walk out of the room, and it just dawns on you, holy crap, I know the answer now, right? Yeah. That was not that you didn't have the information in your brain. You couldn't access it at the time you needed it, probably to stress, because we build up so much anxiety and stress. We have to figure out how to calm down. There are a lot of motivational speakers that want to pump us up. And pumping you up works great for a low producer, an unmotivated person, but for the people who push themselves, we have to learn how to calm them down. So a lot of my job as, when I owned the company was to make sure my high producers relaxed, had fun, lighthearted, and really were prepared, right? I would often make them practice the script while juggling an item. And it was weird because now they had to kind of relax. Their mind had to concentrate on the item they were juggling, which it was really able to relax their brain and do 2 things at once, which is what sales is all about. We're looking at the customer, we're reading what they're saying, but then we still have to remember what to say. So it's an act that makes it so much easier when you go out there. But back to where we're talking. Wait a minute,
I'm sitting here going, could I even do that?
we took a capacitor and you had to
try it later.
Yeah, it was a capacitor. It was a 70, so it was a bigger one. And you had to take and flip it up in the air and catch it while doing scripts the whole time, right? And it was funny because some guys couldn't do it. They'd stop, say a line, flip. It's like, no, you gotta work through it. Because again, in the real world, you don't have that time, and it creates that stress in that situation to help you relax. What I'm saying is, if once you get this script worked out, I want to think about it script or return on investment script, you have to then be able to recall it and say it at the right time. And that's where relaxing and getting that stress to drop. So those first couple of lines are the ones that I would say rattle off, but it gives you a few seconds to let yourself relax. And then you get into that magic. The one I want to say that I would say is the magic phrase that starts you. It's the roller coaster clicking up the hill. If you get this one right, all your momentum for the rest of the ride it just takes care of itself. So, and that's what's important. Gene, your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So the client has just said, hey, listen, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I know it looks bad, but it's fine. And we just want to push it off for a while. First question I have in my mind, I don't ask it, is would they be saying that if it were free? Mm-hmm. Answer's probably no, right? Unless it's a crazy 1%er situation. So if that's the case, then it's really a financial concern. And I just got to get to the bottom of it, right? So the next question that comes out of my mouth would be, that's not a problem. We can fix it as long as you want to. But would you want to make it last 2 more years if you knew for sure that it was going to cost you an extra $4,000 to $5,000? The client's normal response to this is not no. It could be no. No, I wouldn't wait. Most of the time they go, what do you mean? And now we have an opportunity to break out our pad and our pen, or our pencil, as I like to use, because we always make mistakes, right? And I want this to be as clean as possible. So now I've got an opportunity to go, well, let's take a look at it. Your repair today is $965. Isn't that about the average repair, guys? Your repair today is $965, and I'll write $965 on the paper. Don's going to probably help me with the math here, because we're going to have to start doing some addition. Everybody can do addition, right? We learned that back in like elementary school. So put $965 or whatever the repair is at the top of the page, and then say, so your system is 14, 15, 20, 21 years old, and can we agree that it's nearing the end of its life? And would it surprise you to know that this $965 repair that you're having today, that's about the average repair? You might want to have the actual statistics of what your average repairs are, okay? So that's about the average repair. Would it make sense that over the next 2 years, if they break down more when they get old, that you're probably going to have at least one more repair to keep it going? Would that be reasonable? They'll usually agree with you and say, so we're going to put $965 down here for the next repair, just to keep it going, right? Because you want to keep it going. Next thing is, how much are your utility bills, your gas and your electric bills? Client says $3.
I don't know if I dropped out, Gene dropped out. I apologize. If this is still live, we'll get this back up and straight in a second. But we were basically going through the return on investment close. I was checking.
Our power went out, Don. So it's coming back on.
All right. So we'll be back here in a second. So I wasn't sure if that was on my end or not. But Gene was talking about our first. If you knew it was going to cost you an extra $4,000 or $5,000, would you wait to get that new system or do something? All right. If you knew it was going to cost.
We're back.
Yeah, we had those initial repair. We had the next, future repairs. Would it be reasonable to assume one, maybe two more repairs, whatever they agree to, add it to the number. And then you were just getting into the utility overpayment. And remember, guys, that's what it is. It's, it's not, it's utility savings. It's a utility overpayment that you're currently doing. It's a big difference there. Harping on the pain versus the pleasure of saving money. It's the pain that you're overpaying. So utility overpayment. Take it from there, Gene.
Thanks, man. Sorry about that. We both jumped on our hot spots real quick, so we're rocking and rolling again. Sorry for jumping off. So we were talking about how much are your gas and electrical payments together, right? And the customer says about $300. My next question is, did you know that the utility companies say that somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 70% of your gas and electric bill is from heating and cooling your house? So what is about 2/3 of $300? Well, that's $200. Would it surprise you to know that the average person that replaces their heating and air conditioning system saves about 30% on the heating and cooling portion of their bill? So what is 30% of $200? Turns out to be about what? $67?
$60.
$60. So $60 times 12 months is $720. And so that's a year of utility overpayments. You said that you wanted to make it last 2 more years. So 2 times 720 is $1,440. So we're going to add that down on the list. All right. And then lastly, you have seen what's been going on with inflation lately, right? You remember what a gallon of milk cost two years ago and what it costs today? Have you seen that prices have gone up 60, 70% in a lot of areas? Would it surprise you to know that our industry is no different, that we're dealing with gasoline and precious metals and all kinds of things like that just keep going up and up and up. Matter of fact, a lot of our prices have gone up 50% or more over the last year, 2, 3 years. So would it be reasonable to expect that there's going to be some inflation over the next 2 years? And if we only put it at, let's say, 6%, which was the most recent increase that we got in January, 6% of this $12,000 system is what? Is that $720 as well?
Mm-hmm.
So $720 for year one. We're not even going to do compounding here. $720 for year two. So that's another $1,440. We're going to total all this up, and it's going to be $4,810. Am I right, Don?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So, and then after 2 years, what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to replace this old decrepit system that's a possible health hazard and that has been super annoying and is not good for the environment. So can you see now why I say that it's going to cost you $4,800 to wait? Guys, one more thing for you to take into consideration. There should be a monthly payment. Let's say it's a $12,000 system. That's on the cheaper end today, right, Don?
Yes. Yeah. 14 and 15 for normal.
$12,000 system, you should be able to finance that for like a 1.5% payment factor, which would put your payments at about $170 a month. Take that $4,810 and divide it by that number, 170.
Yeah,
it's going to get you 28 months worth of payments. So which is better for the customer? Can you see now why our clients typically choose to go ahead and replace the system, end up having a warranty, something that's reliable so that they don't have to worry about any out-of-pocket costs other than normal routine maintenance? Right. And do you want me to take care of it for you? There's the close, right? And do you want me to take care of it for you? Initial right here, and we'll get started. Okay, guys, what I've just given you should make you over $1 million in the next 10 years at a minimum. Sure. Mm-hmm. If you learn it, it will make you over $1 million. It's made me millions of dollars in my lifetime. And you're getting it for free here today. So if you're watching live, please put live down in the comments. If you're watching on a replay, put replay down in the comments. That's how you pay for the information that we're giving you today. And we appreciate that in advance. Thank you very much. So Don, that's the return on investment close.
And it's not used by very many comfort advisors. It's been out there. Obviously, some people are going to say, I've heard that before, but really, have you learned it yet?
Can you do it?
Do you do it? Exactly. I tell the story of I trained my guys for 6 months on how to handle the objection. Is there anything on the list you feel is overkill or unnecessary? When people wanted to put things off, and we trained on it. We role played, and they were great at it. And I looked at them one day and said, how many times have you really ever said this to a client? And they said, oh, I've never said this to a client. I said, yeah. Just make me the promise today. I don't care the results, that when you get in this situation, you will just say this line, period. Is there anything that's overkill or unnecessary?
Because we know you're going to end up in that situation today.
Yeah. So part of this is to say, you have to learn this. You have to practice it. But then you have to commit to yourself to go out and use it, right?
Right.
These are tools that you have at your disposal, but you have to have the guts. You have to have the internal strength to actually say this. And if you get the first line, maybe the first 3, 4 that we talked about, so you can calm and get into this, all the momentum builds. The rest of the presentation you could do. It's not that hard, right? The cost today, the cost later to do repairs, the utility overpayment, the inflation, all of those things, really common sense for guys been doing this for a while. You're not going to struggle with that stuff, right? You just need to know it exists. You're going to struggle with, can you say, if you knew it was going to cost you $4,000, maybe $5,000 more, would you want to wait? They're going to hopefully say, what do you mean? That's the answer that you want. So it makes you can go through the whole explanation. The key to this is memorizing that first phrase and maybe those first couple of phrases, like it's still working, the writing, basically the mirroring stuff back to them. to allow you so that you don't seem pushy or shoving it down their throat on an objection. It's just a conversation.
It doesn't need to be a ping pong match, right? Yeah. They say something, you ask a question that enables them to open up to you more, right? Here's the other thing. Was that all you were going to say, Don? Or was there
I'm
something
good.
else?
Yeah. No, you're good.
Here's the other thing that most people, I would say 99% of the people that are watching this will not have picked up about what I was doing while I was doing that presentation. Don, do you know what it is?
I'm not sure exactly,
it's what
but
I'm famous for, bro.
It's asking all questions. Didn't tell them anything. We were just asking questions.
The whole way through that presentation, if you rewind the tape, once this broadcast is over, what are we at? Somewhere around that was probably at around the 22-minute mark or something like that. If you watch, I wasn't telling the client anything. I was asking them questions like, did you know? Were you aware? Would it surprise you to know? Would you believe? Like, and when I do that,
that'd be reasonable.
Yeah. I was asking them questions so that I could keep control of what they were thinking. And this is a skill that most people don't have. And it's one that we train in step 1 of our certification process when we have our classes, like we have coming up here in 2 weeks in January.
Yes.
In Orlando.
And it changes everything when you ask the questions and they come to their own conclusion. They believe these numbers when they're their numbers. If they're your numbers, they'll say, I want to get a second opinion, or I'm going to ask somebody else about this. So be aware that most of the day you're telling people stuff when the reality is you need to be getting them to come to their own conclusion. Let it be their idea.
Do people have long or short attention spans today? If you're
very
constantly
short.
talking,
jump over here my phone or something, right?
I mean, are they going to tune you out? Do you tune people out when they talk too much?
Definitely.
But
a question draws them in, and people will, when they know, if we were going to say we're about to call on somebody that was watching this right now live, their attention of what was about to be said would jump up a little bit. Oh my gosh. Again, remember in your school and the teacher calls your name, your whole level of attention just jumped up. You started listening. You were listening before, but you were just listening for the information. Now, when you have to answer, you're listening to try to figure out the response, because in this world, we don't want to look like a fool. We don't want to feel like an idiot, right? So when we know there's a question, did you know that the average repair is about $960 nowadays? Were you aware of what's going on with inflation? I don't always have to get them to say an answer. Their mind says the answer. It doesn't have to be verbal that they actually answered. And if you give about a split second, maybe 1 second, and you move on, they've answered it. They just haven't answered it out loud. And that's the big thing, because they're still answering the question. They just don't have to say it. But
when you rewind the tape, go ahead and watch it again, and then tell me if Don is right or wrong about you are answering the questions in your head. And I didn't wait for you to respond to the questions, but I continued to control what you were thinking with the use of the questions. The questions that I asked didn't require you to give me a response.
Right. A lot of times when we teach this and guys say, I asked the question, they stop thinking they need the customer to give them an answer, and they get stuck. You don't have to. There will be times that it's okay if they do. It's okay if they're that connected. But that split second and then move on, you accomplished what you needed to accomplish. And you're not just doing a sermon or preaching it. It's just continually keeping them engaged. It is magic when you really, really get that. And that's, as you said, step 1 of the sales process. It's taught at the mansion. It's taught on our certification class, your certification class. It's followed up and pushed every Tuesday and Thursday in our mastermind class. So we have some open spots. I know it's just a couple left for the upcoming event. What's those details again, Gene?
Well, before I give them the details, I want to say one thing. Can I share like a Confucius piece of information with you guys? Would that be all right? Would that offend you? So, great salespeople are great storytellers. All right. The masters tell stories through the use of questions. It's a whole completely different level. And that's why I say if you're not making $500,000 a year, you really don't have a choice. You got to come to this class or event. Can you see now why I say that you're actually paying for it, whether you do it or not? I mean, let's do the math. Don, we see the average tickets across the country. Average tickets are typically $500 or less, unless you're dealing with a really good person, right? So if you got a business out there and you got a technician who's doing a $500 average ticket, my question for you is he leaving money on the table? And if so, how much do you think he's leaving on the table? How much is even a surge protector for the inside and outside, Don? $250, $300 a piece?
Exactly. 275 is where we were. So let's just say 250. It's $500.
So are we leaving at least $250? I'm sure that it's more, but are we leaving at least $250 on the table on every single call? Can we agree with that? Give me a yes or a no down in the comments. Are you leaving at least $250 on the table? So,
one surge protector is that. So if you're not selling a surge protector on every one, your answer is going to have to be pretty obviously yes. You are missing at least 250 on every call, unless you're selling surge protectors like they're Tic Tacs, right? They should be that sort of it's the modern day capacitor.
Yeah, we're not even talking about a Breathe Easy package for $5,000 or $10,000. We're not even talking about ever getting to that point where you can do that, which is what you and I are famous for.
Right.
So let's do some math real quick. Let's just see whether you are paying for it, whether you do it or not. Okay. So if I really suck and I can only help you increase your average ticket $250 on each ticket, and you run 15 calls per week, that's 3 a day, 5 days a week. How much is that in revenue that we're missing out on? That's $3,750. Don, could you multiply that by 50 for me? 3,750 times 50 weeks, because everybody needs to take 2 weeks off, right?
$187,500 of revenue.
Okay. And if we're operating at a 10% net profit, which sucks, but we're looking at $18,750 worth of just pure net profit minimum that the company, the owner, is missing out on by not spending $6,500 to send them to a class. If I suck, okay.
Every service ticket, maintenance, forget service ticket. Every maintenance ticket should get at least one surge protector and one Easy Start kit. Every call you go to, they're not there, and those should be mandatory. I get that if a capacitor is out of its rating, it should be replaced, but I can't guarantee you're going to run across that on every call, right? If you checked it, you'll find more of them than if you don't check it, but we can't guarantee. But you can, like 90+%, 99%, I'd even want to say, do not have a surge protector or an Easy Start kit unless you've already sold it to them, right? We'll mark those out that if you've been selling these for a while, you might run across those that are already there. So
Don, that's just selling surge protectors is a 300% return on the investment to send somebody out to us. If they never ever sell a Breathe Easy product, if they never ever sell a system, this is just adding $250. And what normally happens is guys go from a $500 average ticket to $1,500 like that. Or you'll send me somebody like a Billy Branton or Corbin Allen who is doing 2.7 or 2.5, and they jump to 400, 3.9, or not 400, but 4 million, 4.15 million, I think is what Corbin ended up at.
Right.
And he only came to the mansion class in June.
May.
And he just took off. Same thing with Billy. Billy ended up going from like 2.7 to 3.9 within a very short period of time. So guys, stop saying that it's expensive. It's not expensive. You're paying for it, whether you do it or not. Can you see that? Right. So stop delaying. Don't get hit by the bus that could be coming. All right. And we haven't talked about anything else. Like, we could do a real return on investment close on you guys right now and show you how really it's a 10x return on your investment minimum. If guys will just take any action that we give them.
Yeah, and you were just assuming there's net profit, but you know what? Whether your company is 10% net profit, 2% net, or losing money, all those overhead expenses have to be paid, right?
Yep.
So you can't really measure this on your net. You look at the gross, an item that you might pay $50, $60, $70 for, you're adding another $50, let's just say, in commissions. I don't know your pay structure, whether it's hourly or not, but you might have $50 involved with it. $125 item that you're selling for $250. It's a 50% margin item and easy. And 10, 15 minutes? It's probably a 2-minute conversation and 8 minutes worth of work to do $125 worth of money to help cover overhead in these tough times in what might be a tough year.
And I'm going to talk to the technicians and the comfort advisors out there right now. This owner at an additional $187,000 in revenue made a 10% net profit. What's the average commission rate again, Don? Somewhere between 10 to 20% for a maintenance technician typically. So at a minimum, you are missing out on $18,750 over the next 12 months minimum by not bucking up and actually coming to the club. That's a lot of interest.
If you believe this is going to be an easy layup year that people are going to just be lining up and begging you for your services, then don't come to the training. You're going to be good. But if this is going to be a tough year, this is going to be a year where we have to earn it. The old saying with this may be the year that separate the men from the boys. That's a little sexist, and I apologize, but that's that old saying in this business. Okay. This may be the year that separates the high performers from the wannabes, right? From the guys who really just were taking orders, from the guys who were generating sales. And you've got to become the guy who generates the work. If you ever dream of bigger, better things for yourself, for your family, whatever, invest. You've got to have to make it happen. The world is not going to make it happen for you, right? I believe this will be a tough year. I've heard it several times. Getting stuff on the schedule, keeping people busy is gotten hard.
Booking rates are down 50% nationwide, Don.
Yeah. So you've got, if you think in that terms, we have to double the revenue we were getting off of every call just to make our mortgage payments, just to break even, just to do what we've always done, just to be able to look your family in the eye and say, we can do vacation this year, just like we did last year. It's going to take doubling your results because there may be a pool that's half the size. Now, these are some numbers out there. Maybe we're off and the summer turns into being, blistering hot from, April 1st till November 1st, where it's, 110 degrees in your area. Maybe there, in Arizona, that may turn true. The rest of us might not necessarily have weather. Back over my shoulder is an old thing, my dad had on the wall for years, and I kept it for the nostalgia, but it says, weather is never the problem, right? So we have to realize that weather might make things tough, but if we depend on it for the solution, man, it will be tough. It will be tough. So the solution is yourself. Surge protectors and easy starts. I'll tell you, if you're a service technician, those two you should have 5 or 6 of those on your truck every morning, and they should be gone within that day or the next day, because there's a lot of 2-system houses in our market. So I'm thinking 3 calls, 2 systems. You're going to run through about 6 easy starts. and about 6 surge protectors. I'd like for you to put them on the indoor, but we do have package units, so that ratio doesn't quite play out. But still, you can do 5, 6 of these items a day at $250 a piece. There's more revenue in those little tickets if you're willing to get them, because the big tickets, when they happen, they're fun. They do take care of themselves. And one of the things that's magic about the little tickets is the once people start seeing I have to spend money on my existing system, it's much easier for them to go into becoming saying, well, what's a new one cost? If they only have to pay $39.99, $150 a year to maintain the one they have, when would they ever be motivated to buy a new one, right? But when they see, oh my gosh, $500, $600, $700, $1,500, $2,000, it's going to be their idea to say, wow, that's surprising. What was a new one cost? And now it was their idea for you to price them on a new system. Totally different than you saying you need a new system. If you say you need a new system, the customer, my reaction is going to be, wait, you won't tell me what to do. I'm going to push back and say, no, I'm going to prove you wrong. Yep. We want to prove ourselves right, but we often want to prove everybody else wrong. So
that's why in the
it's been about our time. Yeah, I really believe you're going to want to get to these classes.
What's that?
I really believe these guys are going to want to get to this class. It will make a difference in your year.
Yeah. If it was free, would you be there?
Yeah.
So then my question is, are you worth it? Because if it was free, you would be there, but you're putting money in front of your own success, right? So are you actually worth it? How about you begin to treat yourself like you are? Yeah. Guys, if you've enjoyed this broadcast, please share it or comment it, share with somebody and down in the comments. And also, if you're listening on Spotify or one of our other platforms, man, it would mean the world to us if you got anything from this, that you leave us a review. All right. Don, anything else you want to say before we close it out?
Appreciate your time. Enjoy it. If again, hit us up. I think we put our phone numbers on there. But text message if you want any details.
Good job. Good
text
job
message. There you go. Just hit us up with a text and get some more information, and let's make a difference in this year. It's going to take your effort, and the first effort is get to class. Learn.
For those of you that can't see this, for those of you who can't see this podcast, the number on the screen is 239-848-6533. That's my personal cell, 239-848-6533. And text is the fastest way to reach me. If you want more information about the mansion, just text mansion to that number or put it down in the comments on whatever platform you are on right now. Until next time, ninjas, go out there and slay some dragons. We will talk with you soon. God love you. Have a great day.
Good luck. Have a great day.